Do you like spiders? Then this is the area for you. If you're afraid of spiders, then this may not be for you. In our Wonderland, for some odd reason, we have spiders here. Anyways, welcome back to our Wonderland. The same sticky substance is dripping off the walls and ceilings in baseball-sized globs now, and the cobwebs stretch breathtakingly large across the increased space. Something I hear in Australia, they have hails the size of golf balls. Water and moisture and muck permeate everything in sight. From the standing water currently icing my toes to the liquid dripping down the walls, collecting on the webs dripping from the ceiling. I have the feeling that the person that Genzo encountered in that cell wasn't another version of Gidget, but it's actually Cisel, which is Gidget's assistant from Arc 4. The chilly murk has infiltrated my chest now. Goosebumps running up and down my arms, my teeth chattering. I start forward. My feet sloosh with each step, shoes slick with slime. More webs. I try to avoid them as best as possible. Some of them are so thick they're practically opaque. Layers and layers of sticky tendrils. But there are other shadowy shapes among them, such as other people. Gooey round orbs hanging from coiled sinews that pulse with a visceral rhythm. There's something disturbingly fleshy about them. And I back away, bringing my arms in against my chest as I feel anxious whirlgigs dance up my spine. What is this? What am I doing? Yeah, more important question. What am I doing here? The fiend of dread grows, working its way into my belly, my chest. Something's not right. Something's not right. Yeah, I think being in this situation alone, without needing context, is something that you could take away as not being right. But there's a large shadow just up ahead. A figure, bowed and shuddering. And my instinctive urge to move towards it wanes out against my desire to retreat. What is that? Gidget? I don't know why I say it. How could that be Gidget? Why would Gidget be here? Or unless... And yet some part of me knows. Knows even as the shadow stops, twitches, rises. What the... Yep, those snake-like eyes, they're definitely Gidget. Knows even as it turns around to look at me. Eyes yellow and gleaming against the dark. Oh, Iggy, you're here. Gidget, I came to find you. Let's get out of here, yeah? I see her head tilt, her eyes blink. Why would I want to leave? We don't belong here. None of us do. I take a step forward, ignoring the alarm bells going off in my head. Yeah, the alarm bells tells you that this is not N-O-T in capital letters in blood red colouring, that this is not a good idea. Just look what this place has turned you into. Turned me into? This place has helped me achieve what I never thought possible. It's made me perfect. I pause, and I see her eyes narrow into slits as it turns you into a spider. But you wouldn't understand that. You've never understood anything about me, have you, Iggy? I understand enough to know that this isn't you. Enough to know that you have a life, a real life, outside of this world of make-believe, people who love you, a family. Gidget's gaze goes towards the ceiling, almost as though peering up into that world above our heads. Family? Yes, I must create a family. You are so delusional, Gidget. That's not the family that you are envisaging of. But what? That's not what I... But don't worry. I finally accomplished that too. No thanks to you. I see her face tighten, her brows curl. I finally settled down. Got to my house with the big yard. Find someone to love me. To Okay, you don't need to go there, okay? Her eyes squeeze shut, almost as though in pain. Then she gives a little grunt. And I hear something splash into the water behind her. Something splash? That's not a good sign. I take a step back in confusion, water sloshing against my ankles. Gidget, however, just smiles, reaches behind. How can you tell she's smiling? Only her eyes illuminate her feature. And when she straightens again next, she's holding one of those giant gooey orbs. Yeah. Are you even real? Are there just as many Gidgets as there are Iggies here? The same ones I'd seen hanging from the ceiling. It pulses and throbs in her arms, heavy and weeping as it drips thick sinews of muck across her skin into the water. And now I have a family too. My mother would be so proud, Iggy. Yes, your mother would be so proud of you, Gidget. This is what you think a family is? A bunch of 8-legged arachnids? The perfect daughter, the perfect woman, the perfect life. There's no such thing as a perfect life. I see something squirming and wiggling inside the orb, almost like a tiny baby. Spider! She is the spider. It's at this moment that Gidget moves forward towards me, standing all the way up, taller and taller, and I see her lower half for the first time. Yep, there's not 2 legs there. Those are 8 legs. Or as many legs as Gidget thinks is perfect for her. It becomes mutated and swollen. A giant fleshy abdomen poking out from the back of her purple dress. And from it spawns 8 titanic legs, each one thick and haired and sharp, so goddamn sharp, cutting through the water like knives as she floats towards me. My eyes nearly bug out of my head, just like the bug she's holding in her hands, and the bug that she is. I'm gonna say she's been a bugger throughout this entire run, and at the other arcs as well. Back. I scramble backwards so quickly I lose my balance and go down with a splat. Come on, Genzo. Where are you to save us? Oh yeah, I forgot. We left him back in that door. Yeah. This is not looking good, Iggy. And why are you just standing there? Just like you did when you stood there and stood at the sky while you were being grappled. Except you have no lifeline this time. My backside throbs from the impact. Water seeping up into my clothes, my hair. But still I can't pull my eyes away from the abomination monopolizing my vision. Those are definitely 2 very powerful words in a way, kind of put together there. Abomination and monopolizing. Monopolizing spelt with a Z. Gidget's lips curl into a bone-chilling half-moon. And those are fangs, not teeth. I'll have so many children soon, once they hatch. I wasn't sure it would work, you know, since I created them and all, the dolls, but they did, Iggy. I could see tears glistening through the yellow glow of her eyes. Tears, you say? Are you in pain? And once I laid one, I couldn't get enough. I wanted more. A whole family. My family. That's the power of this place. The power to make your dreams come true. You truly are warped. Gidget. I can barely find my voice. My breath trembling on my lips. What have you done to yourself? Her lips twitch. Then I see her eyes snap back into sharpened focus. I see. This still isn't good enough for you, is it? Well, I preferred you the way you were before in your human form. Gidget? Look at you now. You are a mere shell of yourself, attempting to think that you have perfected yourself for Iggy. And yet you said earlier that you said that you have no such ill wills towards us anymore, when that is clearly the contrary of what's happening. I'll never be good enough. Is that it? She takes a menacing step towards me. Long, segmented legs clicking with the movement. Oh no. That's not what I... No one is good enough for you, are they? This brings a smile back to her face, and for a moment her gaze goes unfocused, hazy. You're just like my mother. What do you mean like your mother? If everyone you see is somebody that thinks that you are not good enough for your own willing, then is the problem isolated with the people who, quote-unquote, think that you are not good enough? Or the person who has those emotions in the first place, thinking that everyone thinks that you are not good enough? Stupid blank of a woman. Then her eyes snap back towards me. Stupid blank of a man. Oh my gosh. Unable to, you know what, the woman of his dreams. I attempt to crawl backwards as she towers over me. Mucus-like strands of oozing muck dripping off the egg, dripping off her arms. But it doesn't matter. I don't need you anymore. Oh yes, because I thought you had tears earlier. A giggle. It starts a tiny throwl inside her throat that grows and grows before bursting out of her lungs. No one needs you, because you're nothing. Just a broken doll beyond repair. Why waste my time trying when I have countless replacements, She holds out the egg, and one of her pulsing sinews dangling from the ceiling latches onto it, curling and coiling around the gluttonous mass. But don't worry, I do know something you'd be good for. Yeah, free of... No, whatever you're thinking, just no. Gidget, no. Okay? Whatever you're thinking, just no. That smile, no. Free of the egg, she brings her hands to her cheeks, grins, stretching hungrily as she peers down at me. What do you think I am, a snack? My babies will need food when they hatch. I'm not that food source, okay? And I'd love to give them something fresh. Oh, great. You know, you could just get one of your servants to make food for your underlings. Something in this must finally ping something in my brain, because in the next sound, I bolt. I twist backwards. Heartbeat in my ears as I scramble to my feet, water splashing, shoes slipping, then sprint towards the exit so fast I barely have time to dodge the hanging eggs and webs. Running. Those words. But before I can so much as near the tunnel, Gidget is there. Of course she's there. Of course she would be there. There and huge and looming over me like an impenetrable wall. She's fast. I mean, she's got 8 legs and can travel along the walls with her webs extremely fast. Faster than anything I could have imagined. I spin back around, feet nearly sliding out from under me as I change directions. Willing speed, willing control back into my floundering legs. Where are you going, Iggy? A voice sings behind me. Wouldn't you like to see them when they hatch? I bet they'll have your eyes. No, because according to you, every single one of your incarnations has buttons for their eyes. Or sorry, attempted doppelgangers of me. I go careening back across the room, slipping and sliding the slope, and I bet all of those doppelganger Iggies that you tried to create, or have created, have more soul than you ever have, Gidget. Batting my way past the rows of glowing, throbbing eggs. There has to be another way out. There has to be something. But Gidget's already in front of me again, like a cat in the night. Oh gosh, she moves so soundlessly I can't even hear her. Only jump backwards, glowing eyes jump out at me from the darkness. Just think of how you'll be helping them, giving them the nourishment they need to grow and thrive. And guess what? I don't care. Then you could be a part of them forever. Part of my family. I half trip this time as I scramble back towards the opposite wall. I could barely hear, barely see, barely register anything that's going on around me. You remember when you was, like, stupidly angry at Genzo in Arc 2? Could you just unleash that inner rage right about now? So that you could just literally, completely catapult Gidget into the next dimension? Simply screaming at my legs to keep moving, keep powering through the murk and muck. A flash of something to my left, just ignore it. I dodge right, do a little hip skip as I narrowly avoid a hanging egg, then catch sight of a tunnel entrance once again out of the corner of my eye. I'm close, and the coast appears to be clear. It's never clear, but even as I twist towards it, the momentum of my previous dash keeps me sailing forward. And before I can stop myself, I go flying into an especially thick cluster of... Oh gosh, why did you do that, Iggy? Yeah, you're trapped, aren't you? I tend to pull away, jerking my hand forward and free of the offending fibers. But there's another right in front of it. The thick tendrils wrench and coil themselves around my wrist, sticky and tough between my fingers. I twist, tug. It has my shoulders now, clean to the cloth of my shirt. Stretched as I have and strained but thick. Even strained, sorry, too thick, refusing to break, and instead wrapping itself together with my every wiggle. I try kicking, try wrestling and bouncing and flailing my feet, but that just exposes my legs to the sticky threads, and soon even my knees and ankles are caught. Goodness sakes, it's like every part of you is becoming the web. Limbs thrust out at awkward angles as my body sags, suspended in the air above the water. Tears spring to the corners of my eyes. I continue struggling, continue squirming, but nothing works. I'm completely and hopelessly stuck. Iggy, what a dumbass you are. I hear my heart beat in my ears as I hang there. My head throbs with it, panic rushing up from my belly to send searing flashes of acid across the back of my tongue and throat. Oh, did someone get himself stuck? And here I was having so much fun with our little game. I hear her approach first, the gentle splash of the water, the clicking of her legs. What's she gonna do? Approach very slowly to build up the environment? Of course she did. With those menacing eyes. Then her eyes appear out of the darkness, gazing down at me, feeding on me. But all good things must come to an end, I suppose. And all that exercise can't be good for the babies. Gidget, the tears are coming free now, leaking down my cheeks to pull in my ears. Great. Gidget brings her hands to my jaw, cupping my chin. You are still as obsessed of me as you were on day one. You've gotten yourself tangled up pretty good there, haven't you? Aww. She smiles, tilts her head. Gidget, saying sorry is not going to do anything. I'm sorry, Iggy. I'm sorry for everything. What do you mean? I clench my eyes shut, jaw tight, and when I open them again, a fresh veil of tears shimmer across my vision. All the things I've said, I don't mean any of them. I was really horrible and awful to you. Gidget says nothing this time, just staring down at me, her eyes unblinking. I liked you just the way you were, loved the things we did together, but I was jealous. I said such horrible things to you, made you feel like something was wrong with you. But there's nothing wrong with you. There never has been. I blink through the water, sending another cascade down my cheeks. It was me who was wrong for ever making you feel that way. Gidget's eyes begin to tremble. I'm so goddamn sorry. The room goes silent, still. I feel Gidget's thumbs quivering against my skin. Oh, Iggy. Of course. Only in the next moment, a searing pain rips across my right shoulder, and I let out a strangled gurgle of pain, eyes shuddering in their sockets. Gidget's leg. One of them has, impaled inside you, stabbed straight through my shoulder. Gidget grabs a chunk of my hair in her hand, wrenching my head backwards with a delighted grin. Of course it's delighted. I'm pretty sure we made a wrong choice here. That was such a moving soliloquy. I don't even know how to make the two say that word, sorry. She jerks the tip of her leg in further, stretching the opening and sending firework jolts of pain up and down my chest and arm, burning my brain. Are you really that conceited? She tilts her head to the side, pulling over me hungrily. That all you had to do was apologize? Give your little sob story, shed a few tears, but that would somehow fix everything? Yeah, I knew this was not going to be the case. Another thrust of her leg. Well, newsflash, cherry boy. The world doesn't revolve around you, and neither does it with you, Gidget. I spasm, splutter, drool bubbling up between my lips. It hurts. It hurts so bad. Blanket hurts. Every one of my nerves feels like it's on fire, exploding across my shoulder, ripping and tearing across the muscle. Gidget cots her brow in disinterest. Oh, I'm sorry. Is this too secure for you? No, blood coming out of me is not that. It is quite erotic, isn't it? The way it's Did you really have to say it like that, Gidget? The word slide. It's like sliding into the DMs. She pulls her leg halfway out, pauses, then shoves it back in even harder. Did you really have to do that? The impact sends spasms through my body, a throaty cry past my lips. I bite down my tongue, the taste of copper flooding my mouth. Yeah, that's the taste of blood. I guess I ended up getting to blank you after all. How poignant. Yeah, but not in the you-know-what way. You're just doing that psychologically. And, with one of your legs into my shoulder. One of your legs. One of your many legs. Not just... I did say it already, didn't I? All of the different things I'd love to do to you, my cute little rabbit. She's grinding her leg into the hole now, wrenching it back and forth, sending molten splatters of blood up and onto my neck, my chin, my cheek. My vision is starting to go hazy, fading in and out, consciousness like a ticking pendulum. But tonight isn't just for you anymore. She leans down, her lips against my neck. Oh, love bites. Smiling, smiling. Tonight and every night from now on is just for me. Of course, her lips part and I feel her teeth on my skin, points and sharp. Pinpricks of pain as they press into my throat. Of course they did. Mistress! Cisel. Gidget pulls away with a jerk, her eyes going wide. I see Gidget visibly twitch. Cisel? She finally hisses. Of course. Indeed, it is her cantorous servant. Looking a bit worse for the wear. Oh, so that's who Genzu discovered in that cell. It wasn't another version of Gidget. It was Cisel in that cell. How words rhyme. From the unkempt nest on his head to the dingy state of his attire, but still sporting his pending scowl and air of unadulterated disdain. Next to him, Genzu takes a step back in fright, the colour draining from his face. What the actual is going on here? Gidget ignores him, letting another hiss and yanking her leg out of my shoulder. She retracts her appendages, rears back. Why? Why is it whenever I finally have some peace, you're always there? Always there? She brings her hands to her head, fingers clenched in her hair. For once, Cisel cocks a smile. Oh my gosh, he does cock a smile. And he brings a hand to his chest with a sardonic, because I live to serve, flick. This just sends Gidget into an even greater rage. Get out, get out, get out! You will not take this away from me. This is what I want. This is what I've always wanted. She lashed out with her legs, sending a spray of blood, my blood, out across the room. A thin line of it splashes Cisel's cheek, and he glances down at it with a wince. Interesting. I don't remember anything about hatching a nest full of arachnid infants from your list of childhood dreams. Gidget shrieks. Ben leaps. Cisel goes darting out of the way, rolling through the water as he avoids Gidget's thrashing limbs. When he pushed himself back up to his feet with a tiny grimace, he pulls a kitchen knife from inside his vest, wielding it in front of his face. Genzu takes this moment of distraction to run towards me, his face whiter than white and his eyes strained. Of course, his best friend is injured. Bloody hell, Wiggs! His gaze goes from a gaping hole in my shoulder to my tearing snot-streaked face. He brings a hand to my forehead, pushing back my sweaty bangs. Stay with me, okay? I'll get you out of here. Then he pulls out a similar knife from his pocket and starts hacking away at the stringy fibers holding me in place. Back on the other side of the room, Gidget is reeling, scuttering first left, then right, then left again as she studies the bedraggled man standing amongst the webs. You were never supposed to come back. I buried you away for good. For good! She shoots a leg out, which Cisel blocks with a well-aimed swing of a knife. That's the thing about the truth though, isn't it? Hide it all you want, but it will always find a way to dig its way back to the surface. The truth? Ha! Don't make me laugh. Another swing, another block. The truth is that I'm happier than I've been in a long, long time. But everyone accepts me. Everyone loves me. Yet everything that you created. Not even my dearest one would be able to deny my accomplishments, to deny my perfection. Of course she would deny that. But now you had to come and ruin it all. She rushes forward. Her body moves with nigh invisible clarity to the opposite wall in less than a second, and Cisel barely manages to escape her legs in time, flinging himself to the left just before the nearest tip would have impaled him. He staggered back to his feet, wipes out a fresh set of scratches on his cheek. Happy? That's a loft word for someone who can't even bear to look at himself in a mirror. At this, Gidget twists back with a hiss. I see her eyes flash. Yeah, a big ol' insult. When was the last time you even left this little home you built for yourself, hiding away in here? Are you too ashamed people who... So, we'll see who you've become? That's not true, that's not true, that's not true! Gidget screeches, and I see her start pulling, tugging, yanking at her hair. I love who I am! I love everything about myself! Another leap forward. She is in desperation. She goes careening across the room, Cisel barely avoiding the flurry of her legs. He staggers, breath heavy, but resumes his stance all the same. He remains defiant. I don't even remember the last time I saw you smile, and not those fake painted grins you give yourself. A real smile, from deep inside. I see Cisel's eyes tighten, his mouth twitch. Putting on those little acts every day, wearing your perfect doll mask, while behind everything, you're dying inside. Indeed, because those words make Gidget very angry. Gidget twists around, the very air around her seeming to warp and bend. Shut up! Why do you do it? Shut up! Why do you force yourself to be someone you're not? Shut up! When you know you'd be happier when you'd be able to love yourself? Gidget wraps her head back and wails, because I have to! Then charges. This one happens too fast and too sudden, too furious. She flies forward, eyes wild, legs poised, and there's a squelch. A deep, heady one. And for a moment, nothing happens. Nobody moves. Not even blinks. Then a drip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm trying to picture whose blood this is. Did Gidget just run so fast that she just catapulted into a sharp fragment of the wall? Thick, heavy drops that punctuate the stillness. No. The contrary, in fact. Cisel is suspended in the air, head rolled back, arms limb. Four of Gidget's legs are through his chest, like some kind of horrific cocktail skewer, holding him aloft. Soft and saggy, and shuddering as rivulets of blood trace his legs, drip from his shoes. Bloody hell. Yeah. Look what you've done, Gidget! Gidget's voice catches. I see her staring at him, bewildered, the flare of anger gone from her face. Cisel? Well, don't expect him to respond, you know. Look what just happened. She gives him a shake. He does nothing but send his limbs quivering, his head bouncing. Cisel? Again and again. Now her brows are curling inward, her pupils trembling. No. Beads of water beneath her eyes. Giant salty droplets that grow and grow. Grow until they get so heavy they cascade down her cheeks like waterfalls bubbling up between her lips. Yeah, some way of concealing all of yourself down here. No, 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 no. I don't even know if I said it enough times. She pulls him towards her, takes him into her arms, looks at him for a moment, then clutches him to her chest with a wail. Yes, Gidget, this is what you've done. It's a wail unlike anything I've ever heard, biting at my chest. A stutter cascading tremolo that steals the very air from my lungs, but joy from my heart. So many words in this game I don't understand, or even seen before. She wails and she wails and she wails. Wails as though a part of her has died, as though a piece of her heart has been clawed in two. And as she wails, she begins to change. Oh, is she going back to human form? I can't even quite describe it. Shrinking almost. First her legs, shriveling up one at a time, before simply falling off, like desiccated stalks crumpling to the ground. Then her body, then disdained abdomen, deflating like a balloon. Wrinkled skin caving in on itself as her upper half sinks towards the ground. Lower and lower, her skirts billowing out around her, ballooning out around her. Settling atop the water like a cloud, purple and shuddering as it descends to the ground. And from the cracked bits of parched skin, her own legs, her real legs, poke through. Curled beneath her and sheltered by the torn flaps of her dress. So was Cisel kind of like a vice on how she could remain in her spider form? Or maybe the pain of Cisel going away was just so horrific that her spider form was no longer able to be possible. It's Gidget, our Gidget, the one we'd thought we'd lost, sobbing and shaking and holding, gripping Cisel to her chest. Desperately tight. So tight I could swear for a moment they became one. Genza and I could only watch. Iggy, do you not have a more pressing manner on you? You know, with the damaged shoulder that you have. Watch as she kneels in that stagnant murky water and wails. Cisel's frame hanging limp in her arms. So, very terrifying to say the least. And a little bit, in a way, confusing. Because it's like, it's like you could probably fathom out that Cisel was obviously somebody that was very important to Gidget. Probably both in the real world and in Our Wonderland. Or maybe Cisel is a incarnation of somebody who was very important to Gidget in the real world. But in this case, it's like, well, how could that incarnation be down here in the first place if they did not even go through the wishing tree? And we have come out of a tunnel, and once in her room, she lays him atop her bed. He looks tiny resting among the mountain of pillows. Beneath him, the duvet quickly becomes stained with blood, a brilliant red stain on the sheets. Gidget. I step away from Genzu's support, my legs shaky. But Gidget doesn't look at me, instead staring down at Cisel. I see her arms trembling. Finally, she wraps herself away, teeth clenched. She looks at me, looks at Genzu, whirls around, gaze surveying the room. Then she growls. It starts small, so small at first I don't even realize it's coming from her. Then it builds into a gluttonal growl that crackles and claws at her lungs and throat. She goes stomping towards the tea table, gives it a single glance, then grabs it by the edge and shoves it over onto its side. What are you doing, Gidget? It gives a loud thud as it and the tea fineries on top go crashing to the ground. Without missing a beat, she grabs one of the chairs, raising it over her head and slamming it down onto the wooden mess again and again. Wobbled grunts pushing past the lips. Sorry, this is not the WWE, you know. Gidget. I start forward, but Genzu quickly stops me, a hand to my shoulder. Let her have her moment, bud. Yeah, I think that is actually the best thing you could do if somebody is in that kind of way, but you know that they will be fine afterwards. It's just let out all of that inner frustration. Gidget seems to finish with the chair. What are you gonna WWE next? She straightens with a start, looks around, then goes stomping towards the chest of drawers, letting out a barely restrained roar as she yanks it away from the wall. It slams to the ground, drawers half open and spilling clothes and gold-tinted accessories out across the floor. Now to the armory. She flings open the doors, grabbing fistfuls of clothes, fine laces and dresses and blouses, and ripping them from their hangers, throwing them to her feet, tearing up the fabric. Are you angry at your past self, that you built up this perfect imagery of yourself? But for some odd reason now you are finally beginning to understand that that is not who you are. She pauses there a moment, just standing amongst the chaos of clothes. Her fists are clenched so hard I can see her arms quivering. Then she takes off again. I'm not even sure she knows where she's going at this time. It's like a bull that's angry and is just charging towards the next thing that looks red. But mid-tirade, she spots the mirror on the wall. Okay, the mirror. Okay, the mirror. She's looking at herself. Stops. Looks at herself. Then her face crumples in on itself. A fresh wave of tears forms a deluge down her cheeks, and she brings her hands to her forehead, palms slapping against the skin. She spins with a sudden whirl, makes a beeline towards the desk, rifles desperately through the drawers, then emerges with a pair of scissors and marches back towards the mirror. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to have a bit of a trim off the top? She stands there, staring. Then lets out a guttural cry of desperation, eyes going sharp, and starts to cut. It's patch and jerking erratic. 1 chunk. 2 chunk. 3 chunk. I hope there's not an ear of it as well. She clenches her fingers around one clump after another and chops giant swaths of it off that float to the floor. Trying to be short-haired Gidget again, more and more, until a giant pile has formed at her feet. All that hair, all that art, all those cloying honey tangles. Nothing more than a nest of cruel memories finally released. She doesn't stop until it's above her shoulders, tufts of it sticking out humorously in unkempt cowlicks. But this doesn't seem to be enough, because then she starts on her dress. yanking and tearing at the bows and lace, snipping away great greedy gobfuls of her skirt, ripping the fabric between her fingers. Gidget? She stops, her hand trembling. Then turns to me, water quivering on her eyes. She sniffs, drops her gaze, and lets the scissors fall to the ground. I need to be alone for a bit, she finally says, voice small, so small. Of course. I feel Genzu's hand on my wrist, gently urging me towards the door. Come on, Iggs. We'll regroup in the morning, yeah? I don't say anything, but let myself be guided from the room all the same. I throw one last glance at Gidget, her gaze still pointed downward, before Genzu pulls the door shut behind us. I don't know what to do, what to think. Where's all the Iggies gone? To the point that I find myself incapable of forming words. Maybe they all deformed into nothingness, just dust on the ground. So I remain silent, and Genzu leads me back down the stairs, gently in the way his fingers tug at my wrist. Ah, okay. The Iggy dolls go into a panic once we reach the bottom, threatening over us, frowning over us. And I'm led immediately back to my room, where certain dolls tend to my wounds, cleaning, stitching, goozing it, all while I stare off at the far wall, my mind somewhere else, somewhere far away. As they finish and start to leave, I notice Genzu peeking in through the open door, his face clouded with worry, but he eventually lets his gaze fall, and when I blink and look back, he's already gone. The room is quiet and dark around me, somehow pleasant yet unbearable at the same time. And when I hear soft pitter-patters against the window, I glance over to see that it's raining. I thought you said every day was perfect, Gidget. Every single day was sunshine with a light breeze. The water running soft rivulets down the glass pane. I sigh and let my ears flutter closed. Tired. I'm unbelievably tired, yeah, all that running around. It doesn't take long before I drift off to sleep. In a dream far, far away. Or are we going to have one of those flashback moments? No, we're still here. Morning comes swiftly, and with it, a bone-deep ache that racks my entire frame. Well, you were impaled. I wince as I sit up, hand to my shoulder as I gingerly nurse the stiff goes. Then it's to the bathroom so I can survey the damage. I look awful. Eyes dark, face grey, hair a messy snarl, but there's not much I can do about it. So instead, I simply do my business before wandering out into the hallway. It's empty. And when I glance to my left, I see the door to Genzu's room already open, the room itself vacant. I chew on the inside of my cheek, just staring at it for a moment, then start down the hall. Yeah, I notice in these later acts that the chewing inside of one's cheeks has decreased in frequency. Ah, Genzu's in the entry hall, engaged in animated one-sided conversation with a group of Iggies. But he turns at my arrival, eyes widen at first, then softening in relief. Iggs! He's to my side immediately, hand to my good shoulder and eyes poring over the state of my face, my injury, my slouched stance. You okay? I part my lips, feel a buzz of words on the back of my throat. Those guys fixed you up pretty good, yeah? Thank God, you know. Because hell if you didn't look about ready to give up the ghost last night. I didn't sleep a goddamn wink. All I could think about was you getting some terrifying bone-eating infection and dying in the middle of the night. Wouldn't that be a crapper? Am I right or am I right? Been catching up with your little four-eyed bugaboos over here, though? Might not be much of a conversation, but damn are the little blankets lively. Did I mention I haven't slept a wink? Genzu. You need anything? Breakfast, coffee, morphine injection? My strong, manly arms to hold and protect you and make all the bad thoughts go away? Genzu, this is serious, okay? We've got a crybaby upstairs, but we need to attend to. Genzu. Genzu winces. Looks away. I see a touch of pink on his cheeks. Sorry. Was just pretty worried, I guess. I'm fine, really. Pretty sore, but I'll live. I threw a glance towards the gaggle of Iggy's Genzu had been gabbing with earlier to catch them looking at us. They jerk and turn away a star. One goes to the left, one goes to the right. Any sign of Gidget? Genzu just shakes his head. He brings a hand up to scratch it beneath his cap. Not that I've seen. The few of the cotton tops have already been up there, busy little brood beans that they are. My eyes go instinctively back to the stairs, even as my mind attempts to keep from replaying the events from last night. No, too soon. Way too soon. I remember them like they were yesterday. I need to keep my head clear. There's still too much that we need to do here. Letting myself succumb to the rapid-fire series of trauma-inducing assaults on my body and psyche that this season's version of this is not a TV show, okay, of Our Wonderland is inflicted upon me will only send me running back to my room with that door locked tight. I'll face it. Later. There are more pressing matters, but we should address. We should figure out what to do next. Damn, you move fast. I just would rather not be here any longer than we have to. I can't blame you for that. Every second we're here is another opportunity for this place to blank us up. He emphasized each word with an emphatic poke of his finger against his palm. I cringe, bring a finger to my chin in thought. It's obvious where we're supposed to go next. Orlam's castle. Not only because it's been where we've gone next every single time we've taken this goddamn plunge in purgatory, but also because by the time we reach that cabin, we all need to be there. I don't know how I know this. I just know. An important decision needs to be made there. Before we can move on. Before I can move on. Promise me that no matter what happens, you make your own decision, yeah? For yourself and not for anyone else. Yeah, those are the words that Genzu left upon us before the boat started decomposing due to the black menace in the sea. I'm not sure why those words spring back into my head. The thought sends a nervous thrill up and down my spine, steering my bowels. I shake my head to ward them off. I guess we need to cross the lake then, I finally say, gaze going towards the door. We can't. What? Okay, that was a surprise. Color in the text is very important as to perspective. The sudden voice nearly sends my heart into my throat, and I spin around, fingers curled into anxiety-taut claws. Ah. Oh, okay. You're sort of your normal self of how we remembered you, Gidget. The lake's turned into acid. No boats can get across. It's Gidget. Only somehow in my heart, I know it's not the same Gidget as before. There's something different about them. About the way they stand. The way they carry themselves. More confident. And quite handsome, too. I find my cheeks going hot in spite of myself as I stand up just a little bit taller. An ickle bit taller. Genzu looks similarly affected next to me. Both of us just staring at them. What? Gidget averts their gaze, suddenly shy. Nothing, just... I run an awkward hand through my hair. Then simply smile. Good to have you back. Good to have you looking like a snack in a suit. Genzu, I smack him on the shoulder, which elicits a wince. Gidget looks about ready to die from embarrassment. They cough into their hands, straighten their shoulders, then finally continue, only the slightest crackle in their voice. Anyway, we'll need to go around. It's a bit of a walk, though. Damn, just what I needed. More nature treks of certain death. What about the rabbits? I have a feeling we'll run into even more of them the closer we get to the castle. Don't worry, we can take them. Are you sure about that, Gidget? Like, if you can suddenly transform into your spider form and take them on, then go ahead, but we're not going to face death's door again in this tale. Them? Oh, Gidget gestures towards the gaggle of Iggies behind them, who respond with flustered salutes. One of them promptly trips over his own feet and stumbles to the floor. That doesn't bode much confidence. I become programmed with a rack attack. Iggy was always pretty good at that one. I'll have my chefs start putting together some rations for us. It could take a few days, and we'll want to conserve our strength. Gidget's gaze goes towards the far window, almost as though playing out our route, and the castle beyond, in their mind. I haven't seen Orlem since we got here, but he... what do you know about him, Gidget? Wasn't in the best way. You can say that again, just like with yourself, but we're not going to comment that. I see them bite down on their lip with a wince. At any rate, who knows what we'll find when we get there. A chill runs up my spine, one that sparkles at the base of my neck like anxious firecrackers. I press my lips together. I can feel it in my chest, that tangled mesh of fear and dread. Visceral enough to send snips and snaps up my arms and legs, to squeeze my lungs like a vice. But I blink it away. We won't stop though, right? I hear myself say so. Genzu flicks his gaze towards me with an inquisitive hum, and I continue. We won't leave until we find everyone, until we fix this. I shoot a glance at Genzu, then at Gidget, my eyes tight. No matter what happens, all of us, all 5 of us, are going home, together. The 3 of us grow silent, just standing there, staring at each other. Then Gidget grunts, puts their hand out. Together, they say simply. Next to me, Genzu sighs, long and deep and just a little bit gravelly. Ah, blanket. I'll make sure even he gets out of this. Are you sure you talk about Orlem here? He slaps his own hand down on top of Gidget's. Then they both glance towards me, eyes expectant. And I feel something inside of me give, a breath of relief washing through me. I bring my hand down on top of Genzu's, and for a second, it's like we're in grade school again. The 3 of us about to embark on daring missions unknown. I crack a smile, a tense smile, a tremulous smile, but a smile all the same. Together. Are you sure of your own words, Iggy? My sweet Iggy. Hope we don't hear those words ever again in this tale. We leave the next day. I thought Gidget was going to say it's going to take us a few days to ration up our stocks. We must make quite the sight, the lot of us trampling out of the manor, gaggle of Iggies in tow and carrying their little satchels of food and supplies and tools. The Iggies that stay behind wave after us from the doors and windows. Oh, how poor of them to know that they'll never see their queen again. I can't help but feel like one of those RPG heroes leaving their hometown for the first time, off to start a grand new adventure, and most likely not coming back from impossible odds. Or a war. Probably more likely the latter. We're going on a war to save ourselves. This thought makes the spit get stuck in my throat. but I stave off the mental images of knives and cauldrons and cattle prods that turn my gaze towards Genzu and Gidget instead, both of them offering up a smile. Right, we've got this. We've definitely got this. And then we're off. Past the houses and the hedges and the cobblestone streets, past the pillar and its lingering haze of memories on repeat. Back into the woods. Oh my god, not the pink hue of the woods again. Into the sea of pink and purples and prestinements. We tried to stay close to the lake at first. The tighter the circle we traced, the shorter the journey after all. But the ground quickly becomes hard to maneuver, all uneven crags and rocks, littered amongst slit and sand. I wish you envisaged Our Wonderland just to be a little less, horrific to walk on. So we forged a wider circumference, where only the occasional tangle of brush can slow us down. The going itself is uneventful. Despite my misgivings, the path is clear. Nothing and no one in the surrounding wood. And not in a particularly eerie way either. The sort where you know someone is watching you. Yeah, a whole swath of Iggies. No, this feels familiar somehow. And it's only when my foot catches on an upturned root and I go tumbling forward, both Genzu and Gidget at my side in a second to pull me back to my feet, then I realise it feels just like the forest back home. Wait, really? The one we used to explore. A bit scary for sure, but exciting at the same time. An adventure with friends. I'm fine. I mumble in embarrassed assurance as I push myself back to my feet. And Genzu and Gidget just look at each other sheepishly. My cheeks burn at the attention. This part, though. Had this part always been the same? Maybe it had. Maybe I just never realized it. Bike rides with Genzu, zooming along dusty, dirty roads before flinging ourselves down on the grass. Exhausted and laughing, and watching the clouds overhead. Catching him looking at me, laughter as I'd obliviously asked what was wrong. Was there something on my face? Afternoons in the computer lab with Gidget, shoulders touching as we troubleshoot an especially tricky line in our projects. My stupid jokes that had still made them laugh every time. Their playful shoves as they'd made fun of my sloppy code. It's my code after all, and I can make them as sloppy as I want. Yeah, maybe I just never realized it. I bring a hand up to my face, hoping it will hide the red on my cheeks as we start our hike anew. We walk for several hours at a time, mostly in silence save the occasional direction from Gidget. The intermittent flurry of activity from the Iggies, usually when one of them has fallen or tripped or gotten himself snagged on an overhead branch. Then there's a break to rest our legs, drink from our flasks of water, nibble on snacks. Yeah, that's a good word or a good thing to do with your limited resources, is to nibble rather than chow down. Before pushing onward, always onwards, walking until the sun hits its peak. Oh, it's a lovely red, then begins to descend. Yes, following the same trail it always does. Whether on sea or on land, we follow it. Follow it towards those distant spires and the retribution that waits us within. Yeah, retribution. Night eventually falls, and with it, the temperature. We find a clearing and the Iggies get straight to work building a fire. Not that they feel anything. Then it's dinner time. Small boxes of neatly laid food. A pot of chili cooked over flames. Bitter chocolate that turns to sweetness against my teeth and lingers on my tongue as I stare up at the stars. Whoa. It's quiet. It's quite safe. It's quiet save the crackling flame. My bad. I was trying to read too far ahead of the sentence. Genzu snores on my right. Gidget's hummed breath on my left. But still it takes me hours to fall asleep. The pain in my shoulder has settled into a dull ache that weighs down my bones. It throbs like a heartbeat. In and out, in and out. It makes my brain thrum. Makes my already tingling anxiety crackle in my chest. But I try to concentrate on other things. The warmth of the fire. The feeling of security from being sandwiched between my friends. The seed of hope I try to keep tended to in the fold of my heart. I bring a hand up to trace the rough pattern of the bruise. It's a wound I deserved, maybe. I don't think necessarily you deserved it. A wound that won't ever quite heal. A reminder to myself of what I'd done, the things I'd said. How many more wounds would I endure before we bring this story to its conclusion? Oh, who knows how many. I sigh and let my eyes flutter close, then finally drift off to sleep. How does time work in our Wonderland anyways? The same as it does in the normal world. When the Iggies wake us up, I feel like I've barely slept a wink. We should reach the castle a bit before nightfall if we keep up this pace, Gidget muses as they sip from the tin cup of coffee one of the Iggies prepared. There's a rough gnarl in their throats that betrays their fatigue. Perfect! This place is a goddamn nightmare during the day. I'm sure it'll be much better at night. I do nothing but grunt in response. I don't have the energy for words just yet. The coffee tastes good though. That's the positive thing. Just how I like it. And my spirits are slightly lifted by the time we break camp. Then it's back to our journey. Once more making our way through the trees. Around tangles of brush and moss-covered stumps. Sometimes it's better to keep yourself busy while tired. It makes you feel less tired than when you're just sitting there tired, doing nothing while being tired. The terrain is rougher now. More winding hills, more dips in the land, more streams cutting across our path. I find myself tiring more quickly. The pains are back. Sharp jolts of pain that zip out across my chest with each uneven step, each sloping incline. But I press onward all the same, not once to be the one to slow us down. I must not be very good at hiding it though, because the next time we stop for a break, Genzu sits purposefully next to me. You, doing okay there, Eggs? His voice is harsh to keep from embarrassing me. I shake my head. Take an extra long sip from my flask. I'm fine. Besides, it's not much further. Genzu grunts, turning his head in the direction of the castle. That's what I'm afraid of. Oh, be too afraid, Genzu, for your best friend lies awaiting this castle. When it's time to get up, my body groans at me. My chest is on fire, and my feet feel like they're tied to two giant anvils. Oh gosh, golly. But I push through it, jogging to catch up with Genzu and Gidget at the front of the line. Don't push yourself, yeah? I see Gidget's eyes cloud with worry as they look at me. Well, if you didn't impale me with your once upon a time spider legs into my shoulder, then perhaps I would be in a bit of a better physical form to walk. Too late for that, Genzu says with a laugh. Guy's been pushing himself since the moment we stepped out the door. Hey! Except it comes out as a cough that racks my lungs and sends copper-coated phlegm up the back of my throat. Am I wrong? I grumble something about giving me a break as I wipe at my mouth. And then we're off. A bit slow this time, I notice. High noon turns to afternoon turns to evening. A marbled sea of pink and purple and yellow overtakes the sky, but our surroundings haven't changed much. Still the same expanse of trees, only darker now. The sun's light fading for a second time. Are we going to make it by nightfall? I cough again, my lungs are burning. We might have veered a bit further than I thought. Gidget stops to survey our surroundings. which is mildly concerning considering I hadn't planned on spending another night out on the... Oh, their gaze suddenly jerks to the left, their body tensing. But what is it? My own shoulders give a jump, arms bristling with a sudden unease. Gidget stares off into the brush, but ultimately shakes their head. Nothing. What is it, Gidget? Thought I saw something, Cisel. Bone-ass deep fatigue will do that to ya. Just let us know if you start hallucinating us as food. I've been eaten enough for 10 lifetimes already. Anyway, let's keep... I like the fact that Gidget's animating mid-sentence. If it gets too dark, we'll stop. But let's at least see how far we can get. Genzu throws us a lopsided salute. Aye aye, Captain. This earns him an eye roll and a sigh. But we continue on all the same. The trees are casting long, dark shadows across the grounds now. Already I feel the visuals decrease substantially. And my legs, they're starting to feel like molasses. Achy and sluggish. Pain shooting up my heels with each step. Pain shooting out across my chest and shoulder. Pain shooting up the back of my neck and throbbing in my skull. I try to tell myself it's understandable. I've incurred a serious injury after all. And have now been walking for 2 days straight out in the middle of the woods. But I can't help but feel the feeling of guilt tugging at the nape of my neck. We slowed down because of me. We would have been there by now if it were. Come on, Iggy, don't do this self-deprecating stuff on yourself now. I bite down on my tongue until the taste of coffee fills my mouth. Why did you do that? I get so lost in my guilt-ridden thoughts, in fact, that I stop paying attention to my feet and the ground underfoot. My toe rounds into an upturned rock jutting out from the underbush. And in the span of 2 seconds, pain makes a beeline straight up my leg and my balance goes kaput. No, you don't do that. I promptly crumble to the ground like a sack of overripe potatoes. Now the pain is all over me. Groan wormy spasms ricocheting out across my chest and shoulder and neck. Oh no. So I was trying to close my window there. Iggy Iggs! But I don't want them to worry, so I turn over, push myself up on my elbows. Don't do this kind of facade thing, okay, Iggs? Let them know that you're in pain. That's when it happens. Oop! A shuddering flash of movement to my right, and before I could have so much as let out an there's a weight on my chest. Oh my god, not you again. And a giant orb of red right in my face. It's one of those goddamn tomatoes. I hear Genzo's voice rise about 5 octaves. Tomatoes? Gidget sounds perplexed. The thing is staring straight at me, cold black eyes sunken and glinting. I should slap it away, push it off, try to run, even shouting something might do something. Anything. But it's all I could do to not pee my pants right on the spot as memories of my guilt hanging from its mouth flash from my mind, like it was most horrific Nickelodeon. My lips fumble with the word. And the fiend looms even closer, droll glistening off its razor-sharp teeth. Breath hot on my face. Oh, there's a crunch! And in the next second it goes tumbling off of me, spindling limbs flailing. Oh, I look up to see one of the Iggies. I knew one of them would rescue me. Eyes wide and fearful, and the metal bar they'd use for the prior night's cook pot raised above his head like a golf club. Thank you. Guess those guys are more fight in them than I thought. Yeah, because they are clones of Iggy after all, or attempted doppelgangers, so they probably have the same muscular physique as Iggy does. The Iggy looks from the body of the tomato, to me, to the bar, then drops it like a hot poker, hands to his cheeks in shock. Or forget what I just said. But the moment of triumph is short-lived. All at once, the bushes on either side of the path start to shimmy and shake. dark shadows flashing in and out between the trees, branches rustling overhead. Is it more tomatoes? Or is it the return of the were-rabbits? Then they appear. Oh, there's more of them. Well, guess what? We've got an army of Iggies. What can you do to stop us? Like red will-o'-the-wisps emerging from the black, they crawl out of the bush, out from behind the trees, climbing down the bark. 10, 20, 30. There's so many of them. What are those things? These things? Gidget clenches their fists in a show of fortitude, but I can hear the shudder in their voice. Guess you've never had the privilege of watching those overgrown vegetables wear your guts for garters. Genzo grits his teeth. Let's try to keep it that way, eh? At first, nothing and no one moves. Then, an attack from the right. One of the tomatoes leaps, launching itself at one of the Iggies. The Iggy doesn't stand a chance. There's a flurry of limbs, a gnashing of teeth, and when the ripping starts, growing pool of red forming on the ground underneath. I feel the barely contained panic rolling in my gut, grip my chest with a forceful jolt. I stumble to my feet. Run! But it's too late. Oh gosh, the tomatoes come at us en masse, leaping, flying, surging towards us. All of them with twitchy limbs, outstretched and poked, grins wide and gaping. Or gaping, sorry. I make about 2 steps before one of them comes straight at my head and I drop to the dirt with a yelp. I hit the ground hard, another electric-like shockwave ripping through my shoulder. I can feel my stitches tearing, but I don't have time to worry about that. God damn it. Already, one of the tomatoes lashed itself onto my back, his shiny fingers clawing at the fabric of my shirt. I scream in spite of myself, roll over with a terrified jerk. The tomato falls away and I quickly scramble to my knees, crawling somewhere, crawling anywhere. It's chaos around me and the Iggies as well. God damn it. Tomatoes sailing through the air, hitting the dirt only to scamper away with almost playful glee. The Iggies have gone into panic. Some of them already down. Some of them hitting the tomatoes with pots and pans and anything else that it could possibly use as a weapon. I roll to the right, just as an Iggy falls to the ground in front of me. A tomato latched onto his head with its teeth buried in his face. Damn. I strike for a sob as I watch the tomato rip a giant hunk of flesh from the Iggy's cheek. Where are Gidget and Genzo? My heart pounds in my chest as I crawl. Crawl. Nails digging in the dirt and knees smarting against stone. A flash of blonde. Gidget's there, not far in front of me, one hand clenched around what looks like a kitchen knife as they hold their own against their chest, blood streaks atop their forearm. Goodness sakes! Another thump, this time to my right. An Iggy falls half against me, tomatoes attached to his back, his legs, one of his hands completely missing and gnawed down from the wrist. I met his butting gaze for just a moment, a look of vacant hopelessness in his face. God damn it, Iggies. I know you're a doppelganger, but that just makes me sad. Before another tomato lands on top of his head and smashes his face into the dirt. I jerk backwards. Goodness sakes. My breaths tear at my larynx, harried and gasped. And I dig my elbows in the dirt as I attempt to back crawl away. Oh gosh, one of the tomatoes lands directly between my splayed legs, its wicked smile already stained red. I could do nothing but stare at it. It cocks its head, blinks, then, only just before it leaps, a foot connects with its tiny abdomen, sending it hurtling away. Hello, Genzo. Don't just goddamn look at it. Genzo's voice crackles in frustration. Kick it or something, you dumbass! And then a tomato slams into him from behind, latching onto his shoulder and nearly sending him reeling forward. He grabs it by its green stem before he can so much as think about biting it. Oh. Chucking into the ground and slamming his screwdriver into his bulbous head with a squelch. Red splatters up and onto his hands and cheeks. But rather than spur me on, this just sends my insides into even greater turmoil. And with a hurried gasp, I twist away, blinking back tears of panic as I drag myself back through the dirt. We're gonna die. Don't think like that, Eggy. I can't hear anything over the pounding cacophony of my heart. I can't see anything through the veil of salt water glistening atop my eyes. I'm crawling through red now. Sticky, slimy slope coating the ground and the dirt and the bush. I can't tell what it is, but I don't care. I pull myself through it, desperate to get away. My fingers, my knees, my shoulder all screaming at me. 3 of them come at me this time. The first one hits me up from the side, sending me onto my back so hard I get the wind knocked out of me. The second one finds my head, its 6 sticky fingers clawing at my hair, wrenching and tugging at my scalp. And the third perched itself right on top of my chest, a delightful trail of red smearing its chin and neck as it ogles me curiously. This is it. This is bloody well it. I close my eyes, every nerve across my body sending off buzzing fireworks that sear at my skin. I guess we'll have to try something else next. No. The tomato on top of me is gone. I blink. Blink again. A flash of something flying across my vision, but larger, bulkier, faster even than the tomatoes. A rabbit? The one gripping my hair is gone now. What the hell? I push myself up on my elbows. The flow of activity around me hasn't abated, but the vibe has changed. Now the tomatoes are, they're scared. They scamper, of course, yeah, because rabbits would feed on tomatoes. They scamper and crawl across the ground, terrified squeaks as they attempt to get away, but again and again they disappear. Oh, frenzied flashes of brown. Ah, rabbits, of course, of fur. Already their numbers are thinning. 5 more gone. 4. In a confused haze, I push myself to my feet, hand to my head. And, obviously, it would be a rabbit. And one of the flashes stops right in front of me, so fast I nearly fall straight back on my ass. What the? Oh. The rabbit grabs me by the shirt, lifting me up onto my toes as he studies me. If my pants already haven't been wet from the tomato assault, they've surely been drenched now. Gosh, I don't blink. Don't even breathe. What are you up to? My lips and eyes trembling as the rabbit's twitching nose sniffs at my face and neck, my tender shoulder. He cocks his head. Then, as abruptly as he'd picked me up, he drops me back to the ground and zips away, taking a nearby escaping tomato with him. I stand there unmoving, just staring at the spot he recently vacated, my body quivering. Eggs! I turn my gaze vacantly to see Genzu scrambling towards me, with half his face not covered in red splotches as white as a ghost's. He comes so fast he nearly rams straight into me, stopping himself just in time and looking me up and down in frenzied jerks of his head. God, bloody God, he wipes his forehead, wipes it again. You're alive! God, blanking God! He keeps repeating it over and over again. I see his fingers shaking, his eyes strained. He looks about as shell-shocked as I feel. 60 more seconds he wouldn't have been. Damn it, Gidget limps over with a grunt, nursing their arm. They look equally as rough, scratches lining their cheeks, red stains their clothes. What the hell is even going on? We turn to watch a last straggling tomato get whisked away by another flash of brown and fur. Then the forest goes eerily silent. The scene around us looks like the aftermath of a massacre. Puddles of oozing red glistening atop the dirt. 50% tomato, 50% Iggy. Strewn half-eaten limbs caught on stems and twigs. Pink insides hanging from tree branches. My stomach gurgles as I take it all in. Taking the sight of all those Iggies, all those me's, lying in pieces across the forest floor, their innards lie bare. Now that the panic is starting to fade away, it's been replaced by a cold feeling of disbelief. And my arms, My arms, my legs. My entire body begins to shake. Clammy chills clutching at my frame. I bring a hand to my mouth as bile rises. Oh gosh, you're gonna be sick, aren't you? Then drop to my knees. Ix! Genzo is beside me in a second, then hand to my shoulder. He doesn't say anything. Ugh. I hear the sound effect. Just rubs my back in wide circles as I upchuck the pound cake I'd eaten during our break not more than 20 minutes ago all over the ground. Movement. A rustle, then another. The surviving Iggies start pushing themselves back to their feet. Yeah, one of you've got your eyes missing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I count 9 of them rising from their Viscera-strewn path. Some of them look relatively unharmed. Nothing but a few scratches and bruises. Others are clearly worse for wear. Long gashes on their fronts and backs. A few of them missing eyes and fingers. Yeah, some of them are not long, let's just say. I see Gidget taking stock of our remaining troops. They curse beneath their breath. That's not going to help morale. A pause. Where's our conquering heroes, though? No sooner have the words left their mouth than there's a flash from the right. Oh, with a shudder of the bushes, a rabbit lands in the middle of a recuperating gaggle of Iggies. A few of them stumble backward in surprise. He rises to his full height, looks around. Another flash, another shudder, and a second rabbit appears. Then a third. But they're not wearing their usual armor. Far from it. They seem to have been geared up for some kind of wooded recon work. Garments light and airy. They're normally boot-clad feet free and nimble against the ground. They glance around at their handiwork or at the strangeness of our group, then turn to us. Gidget steps in front of me and Genzo, their hand held out protectively. State your purpose, rabbits. It goes silent. The rabbits just staring at us. Then a cough from behind. Saving? Is this you here? Orlum, or another character. Saving your sorry asses, apparently, though you seem awfully ungrateful. Oh, you're one that talks. The three of us spin around to find a fourth rabbit standing behind us. He lets go of a severed tomato head he'd been holding, spits and whips his nose. Nobody says anything. Jerry. Somehow we have found ourselves upon an Easter egg or a character that's been long forgotten in this series? I don't know. I race to my feet, disbelief colouring my voice. In a half second, 3 things happen. First, I realise I've no idea how I could have possibly known this rabbit's name. Second, my mind is all at once filled with strange, visceral memories of fire and brimstone and magic and about a million other things that can't possibly be real because magic's not real and why had my friends look like that and Third, Genzo lets out a throaty, oh hell no, and goes stomping towards Jerry, finger pointed incrementally in the air. Genzo! The Genzo tirade has already started. Doobie furry, they stab you straight in the glimmer sore place before you do so much as look at him, you conniving, jewel-swiping, fake-ass king. I ought to yank those ears out of your goddamn head and stuff them straight up your goddamn nose, you blitty. Jerry just looks down at him, unamused. Genzo? Yeah, Iggy, what's happened to your shoulder there? Gidget looked hot on my heels. What is going on here? But Genzo isn't finished. He begins poking Jerry in the chest with sharp jabs of his index. What's Genzo got so much against Jerry? Hey, hellwad. You ever think of, I don't know, not showing your goddamn face again after that whole effed up rabbit worshipping goddamn show you subjected us to, huh? Jerry leans over. His nose twitched in some reception after saving me alive, but manners have always eluded you. Manners like my goddamn fist going straight down your goddamn furry rabbit throat and straight out your goddamn rabbit ears. Charming. Would you prefer to do this before or after those creatures have strung up your insides like party decorations? I can wait. Guys. Party? Ooh, I think we've all had enough of your parties, you back-toothed jackass with a superiority complex. What's first on the agenda? Smashing Iggs's hand? Waxing high-futing drivel? Destroying the whole goddamn world just so that your daddy will pay attention to you for a single second? At least my drivel has some literary merit to it. Yours is just screaming barely logical profanities and anatomically impossible defensive maneuvers. I like this rabbit. Guys! Anatomically impossible? I'll show you anatomically impossible, you giant furry blank-faced bloody piece of rabbit schmush. All those worlds of the world, and yet your diatributes still sound like those of a foul-mouthed toddler. Would you two goddamn stop it already? It comes from Gidget this time. So sharp and loud and sudden that it stops all of us in our tracks. Ooh. Jerry and Genzu look at Gidget in shock, then each other, then at the ground. Thank you, Gidget grumbles, massaging their temple in obvious discomfort. I take a hesitant step forward, hands clasping and unclasping. Thank you, for saving us. Jerry's nose switches. At least someone around here has some semblance of appreciation. He glanced over at the scene of carnage, the other rabbits. Though it was no trouble on our side, we've gotten used to the occasional run-in with our vegetarian friends. They get angsty, inspired. I make a face, stomach twisting in nauseous knots. Inspired? That's one way to put it. Gidget blinks. What? Did you expect all the rabbits to have succumbed to the influence of that fiend up in the castle? Some of us do actually care about this place, you know. The fiend, you mean Autumn, or what's going on there to make him more werewolf-like? Should have known old Frecklehead had something to do with all this. You have some kind of resistance, then? Indeed. Jerry twists his foot away as Genzu tries to discreetly step on it. Our numbers have shrunk some, but we can still be a force to be reckoned when we're needed. Though nowadays, we're mostly just biding our time keeping before us safe and monitoring things. Can you help us get to the castle? I say with a sudden onset of confidence. Jerry blinks, looks at me. Now there's a begratuitous idea. I see his ears twitch. You aren't by chance courting death, are you? Because that's a surefire way to win him over. That place is overrun with rabbits. No one's gone in or out for months. But we're the only ones who can stop this. We've got to get in there. Indeed, I think if anyone's going to get through to Autumn at this point, it's us. Yeah, lucky us. Jerry's eyes twitches. You make a good point. He turns his gaze in what I can only assume is the direction of the castle. You might be the only ones who can correct things at this point. There's a moment of silence. Then Jerry makes a clicking noise in the back of his mouth and jerks his head in the direction of the trees. I see the others take off. We'll head back to base, so you can figure out a strategy. Whoa, 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 Gaze waving his hands. How do you know this isn't some kind of carefully crafted trap meant to completely and thoroughly F us over? This guy's got a track record, you know. You don't. But you also don't have a lot of other options now, do you? He does have a point. He nods in my direction. And your little boy toy over there looks about ready to pass out, thanks. So at the very least, you're going to need some rest. Genzu and Gidget both look at me. I blink, shoot my gaze back and forth between them. Bring my hands up in confusion. I'm fine. No, you're not fine. But even that motion was apparently too much because it sends dizzy dancing spirals across my vision. You've been hit with supersonic. And I have to bring my hand to my head with a moan to stop the world from spinning. Bloody hell, Iggs. You're in really bad shape. Well, guess what? Load of carnivorous tomatoes will green upon us. Genzo brings a hand to my arm. His fingers are warm against my clammy skin. It looks like your stitches came out, Gidget says with a grimace. I glance down to see the goose wrapped around my shoulder glistening with new blood. The sight of it makes my head thrum. We've got medics who can look him over. Jerry smooths back his ears with an only slightly ingranated sigh. If we really are going to do this, we certainly can't have anyone slowing us down now, can we? At any rate, let's move along. Night will fall soon, and the castle perimeter gets unsafe at night. I see his eye twitch. Then he starts off in the direction the other rabbits had disappeared. Gidget whistles back at the Iggies, still bemused and bumbling, as Genzo gives my uninjured shoulder an encouraging squeeze. Come on, Iggs. Let's get you somewhere you can lie down for about 9.5 hours, yeah? Yeah. I get what you mean. It's all I can manage to say as the lot of us fall into sharp behind our reluctant rabbit savior. I have to say that scene went on for a lot longer than I imagined it to do because of the tomatoes. Those pesky tomatoes. Okay folks, we're going to leave things off here, and there is some conclusion here at the end of this all. It's that with all these characters down here, particularly with Gidget and our good old friend Orlum soon, and then after that Bugs, there needs to be some kind of horrific event in order to get them back into shape, into the person that they were before being corrupted by the wishes of our Wonderland. But yeah, Gidget's spider form was something else, wasn't it? I always knew that she was evil in the previous episode because of her yellow and red eyes. But thank you all so much for watching, and take care of yourselves, everybody. Let me know what you think about what might happen in the next time.